Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. It is Friday, July 9th, 2021. I'm Andrew Hansen alongside Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach. And Phoenix did it again, Coach. A 10-point victory. They're up 2-0 with a lot of momentum going into game three.
I'll tell you what, man, they looked like champions. There were stretches in that game where they were just on. I posted something in our Discord. That one possession really told the tale, and that's the one I think they'll show if they do win this. They had 7 passes in like 9 seconds and got a wide open shot. All 5 guys touched the ball. They're in a groove. They're going to be tough to beat because let's face it, somehow, some way, the alien from another world, Giannis, had just a crazy game, and they still couldn't hang with him. So that's Bucks fans have to be a little nervous now, don't you think?
I do. I mean, it's a good thing they're going home because, like you said, Giannis went for 42 and 12, had 4
With a
stocks,
busted
4
knee.
assists, 15 of 22 from the field, had over 70 fantasy points. And he did what we talked about that they needed him to do, which was get a bunch of easy baskets,
Yeah.
to help their overall attack, but they didn't shoot as well. They went 9 for 31 on threes. Meanwhile, Phoenix couldn't miss, Coach. They went 20 of 40 on
They were
three-pointers.
Bridges had the game of his life, that's for sure.
He did. He
Yeah.
was really the key. And he allowed us to cash with some of our hybrid lineups. But that shooting performance across the board is the question. Can they take that to game three? Because Chris Paul went 3 for 5 from deep. Booker went 7 of 12. Bridges hit 3. Crowder went 3 for 5. Cam Johnson 2 for 4. I mean, it was everywhere you turned, they were just draining threes all night.
Yeah. I mean, Milwaukee had to be extremely frustrated because their defense is really good. I mean, they have a good, solid defense with some, all defensive players. And so, wow. I mean, they're not used to getting smoked at that high of a percentage. But like you say, sometimes it's all momentum and when things are going right. And it just seems like everybody's stepped up for Phoenix. Shout out to Monty and whatever he's done to get them to this point to peak at the right time. And boy, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, they really did. So let's preview game 3 here and chat a little bit about DraftKings and FanDuel pricing to get everybody ready for their builds. And if you look at the numbers from Vegas, courtesy of BetUS.com.pa, our presenting sponsor, Milwaukee the favorite here in game 3, Coach. They're favored by 4 with an over-under of 222. Do you have any lean there?
Well, we both sort of talked about it before we looked it up because we wanted to see, where we felt, and neither one of us expected the Bucks to be favored by 4. That's quite a bit.
That
considering, Phoenix beats them 2 times in a row by double digits, and that's a big spin. Now I know there's a huge difference. You're in Deer District, and the people going bonkers, and a couple more days for Giannis to rest that knee, although it didn't look like it was bothering him. But all of those things are in their favor. But man, that's a big switch. I'd have trouble not taking the Suns +4 just because they're playing so good.
I would too. I think I would probably either take Phoenix or lay off of that. If you're watching or listening and you have a strong feel on that, you want to lay some action on it, then join us with our tremendous offer from BetUS.com.pa. If you haven't already, you can see it there on the bottom on YouTube. Sign up for your first deposit of $149 with the promo code Coach Talk. You get to use that money at BetUS, and you get a 2-month membership with us.
Free 2-month membership.
Free membership. And all of our memberships, you get all of our sports. So you get our basketball, baseball, and golf lineups. And then when football comes, you get those as well. So if you sign up there, then just let us know on Twitter at DFS Coach Talk that you've done that, and we'll get you into our Discord. So let's put the line aside now and break these teams down one at a time like we usually do. Let's start with Phoenix. And the big news going in was, okay, we know Saric is out. And so we talked a little bit about the bench and how would those minutes get redistributed. Well, it turned out that the biggest change was the starters all played more minutes. And
Right.
I was a little surprised by how hard they pushed those guys. I mean, it makes sense, Phoenix trying to make sure they went up 2-0, but look at these minutes. Chris Paul went from 37 to 41, Booker from 42 to 44, Bridges 30 up to 38,
Yeah.
Crowder 33 up to 37, and Ayton 39 to 42. So there just weren't many bench minutes to go around. And that's why I kind of felt like all night long, Bridges was out there wreaking havoc, hitting threes, playing solid defense because he did a number on Middleton. Middleton only shot 5 for 16.
Yeah, he
So
really did.
do you think that 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 theme will continue here where the Phoenix starters will play big minutes and they'll try to go up 3-0 here?
Oh, without question. I mean, they smell the blood in the water, number one. Secondly, they're out Saric, and we don't know the status on Torrey Craig. Oh, yeah,
Yep.
that was the ankle, I think, or knee. We're not positive,
Yep.
but it didn't look good. And
Didn't look good.
I've got a big feeling that he sits. So they lose two of their already short bench. And, we talked about it on the last podcast. Where are the 10 minutes of Saric going to go? And we did mention, they'll probably just be, dispersed more so with the guys that are playing as opposed to a bunch of more minutes off the bench. And now, you have Craig's on top of that. So the nice part is they have a couple of days off. I mean, it's all the way to Sunday. In the NBA, they're not used to having that many days off. So I think you'll see real similar minutes and rotation. It's worked, and they're right on the doorstep. So I think we'll see the same, almost identical minutes.
Yeah, and we're recording this Friday afternoon, so that's why we
Right.
don't have an up to the minute
Torrey Craig
injury update on Torrey Craig. But we'll get to the bench in a minute here. Let's talk about these starters a little bit. And Milwaukee did a real nice job where they started Holiday on Chris Paul.
Yes, I've been crying for that. So that was a nice move.
Yep, he dogged him pretty well, forced him into more turnovers than usual.
More.
And
He had 6. He hasn't
I
had.
know.
He's had a month of basketball without 6 turnovers. I mean, that's we indicated that though because we knew Milwaukee was going to defend them better. We felt that Holiday would go on him, and we knew that the last game he got lucky with a few deflected passes. So, for him to have 8 assists and 6 turnovers, he's got to feel like he had just a terrible game.
Yeah, exactly. And feel very fortunate that they won.
Yes.
And you figure he'll come extra motivated after that and try to be a little bit sharper. But, Holiday should continue to give him trouble. And the problem with Chris Paul is he's 15,000 on FanDuel.
Yeah.
Giannis is 16,000. And I just don't see building a lineup, where you have Chris Paul and not Giannis. At that price tag, on DraftKings, he's 9,800. He's more reasonable. A lot easier to get him in the lineup with 6 guys. But he's on the borderline again for me on FanDuel just because of the price tag.
Right.
Ayton, I still like his price tag on both sites. It did go up a little bit to 13,000 on FanDuel, and he didn't have quite as big of a game. Only 4 of 10 from the field. Just a few of those passes from Chris Paul to Ayton, either they just didn't connect, or it was one of those alley-oop type plays, and Ayton just didn't quite finish it. So they were just a hair off in game 2. I think they'll connect a little bit better in game 3. I think Ayton will probably get more than 10 points and more than 11 rebounds. So he's a guy that I'd like to get in most of my lineups.
The other thing with Ayton, though, Andrew, that's something to consider. And the reason I faded him this last game is, I didn't realize going into game 1 that they were going to play Ayton on Giannis. That was a surprise to me. So I think, my concern with Ayton, and just like this game here, I think his number one focus was to guard Giannis. And then that took a little bit of hit off of his offensive numbers, more so than anything else. But, that's just an observation that, if it's going to be the same, I think that, we could have similar results and only maybe, in that 10 to 12 shot range.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a factor, all the energy he's expending to try to defend Giannis. But I think Milwaukee just also did a better job at the rim
Oh,
with
they
Giannis.
did. They
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
Yeah. With the other Phoenix starters here, your man Booker was really shooting well, hitting deep threes. He got to 31 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. He's not big on the stocks. He
Right.
was solid. He's cheaper than Chris Paul on FanDuel, so he's more in play there. Bridges and Crowder, I mean, they really benefited from the change in Milwaukee's defense because cutting off that pick and roll action a little bit more
Yeah.
forced those guys to kick it out, and you saw lots of open looks for Bridges and Crowder. And so, I think they're both in good spots still. Bridges, cheaper on FanDuel. I really like his 9,500 price tag. He's more expensive on DraftKings, but if he gets high 30s minutes again, he's very attractive to me.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll tell you, I have to take my hat off to Coach Bud. I'm the first one to say when I don't agree with a move, every move that he made and adjusted to was right on the money. I mean, he took away the pick and roll quite a bit more. He had Lopez more at the rim and protecting the paint. They did such a great strategic move in everything they did, including putting Holiday on Paul. So, all of those things worked. But what they do is, when you really add something, you take something away. So he did what you have to do. Let's take away those things I just mentioned and make Bridges and Crowder beat us with some open shots. Well, guess what? They did.
They did.
If that happens, it happens. There's nothing you can do. But, you don't expect, when you make all those adjustments for those guys to be able to step up and combine for 38 points between Bridges and Crowder, including 6 threes. So, that goes to show how well Phoenix is prepared and how good their team is, because with all those excellent adjustments and, seeing a decrease in Ayton's involvement and some of Paul's turnovers, etc., usually that would sway the game, back in your favor. But the rest of the guys stepped up and they got it done. That's a real testament to Phoenix team ball.
Let's look at the bench here in a little bit more depth. We have the X factor of Craig not knowing what's going to happen with him. In game 1, he played 16 minutes. In game 2, he played 8 before he was injured. So there weren't a lot of extra minutes to go around from Craig. So we'll wait and see on that. Cam Johnson actually went down in minutes also from 21 to 18.
I was surprised at that.
And Payne went down from 17 to 10.
Unreal.
And then Kaminsky only played 1 minute. Nader only played 1. I think if Craig sits, then you're going to have to see at least a few minutes from Nader or Kaminsky. So, that's something to keep in mind. But
did you hear the interview with Monty between quarters? Yeah, he flat out said, if he can't come back, we're going to have to get some minutes from Abdul. So I would assume very comfortably, not that he's a rosterable guy, but I bet you he gets 10, 12 minutes.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance he does. He's big enough, athletic enough to play in this matchup.
Yeah.
And, he's extremely risky, but it is interesting if you play with it for a while on FanDuel. If you want to get 4 of the big 6, with the big 6 being Paul, Booker, Ayton, and then Holiday, Middleton, Giannis, you have to go with a real cheap option like Nader or Kaminsky or Forbes or Teague.
Right.
So if one of those guys plays well, then that type of build could work. But yeah, it's definitely more of a GPP approach because those guys, you're looking at 10, 12 minutes max probably.
Yeah. You could get almost a goose egg, or one of them could hop up and grab you 15, 18 DFS points, and then you're in business,
Yeah. I mean, Nader is like the prototype for that, where he could give you a 0, or if he hits 2 threes, gets a steal, couple rebounds,
Yeah.
then he might give you 10 to 15 fantasy points.
Yeah, I
So
wasn't impressed with him on the court, though. He looked a little like he wasn't quite prepared for it. I think
right,
it might be a little much for him at this point of his career, but I can't see how he doesn't get the opportunity though if Craig doesn't play. If Craig does play, then that's eliminated. But
exactly.
uh,
It-
I'm
yeah,
counting him out as of now, just because it looked bad enough. And as the coach said there too, he's tough as nails, and he doesn't usually stay down unless he's in pretty bad shape. And I didn't see him putting much weight on it either. So we'll see what happens. After Giannis, anything's possible.
that's right. Uh, yeah, and I think it is a tall order for Nader to really be productive. I mean, we know he's been coming back from injury
Right.
anyway, not to mention his inexperience. And so, um, GPP only. Payne is a little pricey for me if he's going to stay, around 10 to 12 minutes. Cam Johnson, really the only reliable guy in terms of minutes and shots. He'll get those threes, and obviously that's his mission is catch and shoot. He's got that green light. They want him to shoot, and he's at that reasonable price tag on both sides where he could be the last guy in for me.
I mean, I thought he played great again. I was disappointed he didn't get a few more minutes. I mean, 2 for 4 from 3, and in that short amount of time, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and he just looked like he was part. I mean, he was part of that great possession where they got the easy bucket. I wouldn't doubt he might be the guy that can slip into the 22-minute, 23-minute range, and then at his price, that's a really great play, I think.
Yeah, if they decide to keep Bridges or Crowder a little fresher and take a few more minutes off, or if one of those guys gets in foul trouble, I could
Right.
definitely see Cam Johnson maybe squeaking into the 20-minute range.
I would hope so.
Any other thoughts here on Phoenix, Coach, before you transition and start to break down Milwaukee for us?
No, I mean, I think you're going to see Coach Bud say, hey, listen, the bottom line is our adjustments worked. Giannis had a terrific game. We just need to shoot a little bit better percentage. I think he sticks with the same strategy. I think it's going to be another scenario where the second flight guys like Bridges and Crowder and Johnson, those guys are going to have to step up and beat him. I think they're going to continue to harass Paul with Holiday. And I'll tell you what, man, did you see a couple of those blocks from Drew Holiday?
Incredible.
Are you kidding
Wow.
me? He blocked DeAndre Ayton 7-1 with 2 hands.
That was crazy.
I loved it. I love Drew Holiday, man. He's not always the best DFS guy, but if I'm coaching the game, that's the guy I want on my side. That's for darn sure.
Absolutely. Well, before you break down Milwaukee and tell us if you want him in your DFS lineups, just want to invite folks to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. We'd love to have your support there. And thanks to everybody who's subscribed recently. And then again, with membership, we've got the BetUS option at the bottom there on YouTube. Or if you're all set with betting, then you can just jump in with us for the regular DFS membership at dfscoachtalk.com. Grab a 3-day pass, a week-long pass, whatever length of time you want, and then we'll get you into our Discord with an email. And then that's where we give out our lineups about 20 minutes before lock.
Absolutely. And if you're watching this on YouTube right now, quick thumbs up, hit that subscription button, and click the alert so you know when our podcast posts. We've got all these NBA pods, and I'm so pumped up, Andrew. I got to mention this now because I just love Olympic basketball and watching these teams prepare, watching Team USA practicing. This is going to be fun, and DFS has some really good contests. So we'll be covering that. All those pods will be posting. So hitting that alert button will let you know when those are coming up. And we also have another giveaway for a free week membership at DFS Coach Talk that will be drawn prior to the game on Sunday. Our man Joe Stanton's going to go in. Any new subscribers from right now on this Friday podcast until Sunday morning. So you want to do it either today, tomorrow, get subscribed to us if you haven't. And you may be one of those that get a free 1-week membership to Coach Talk. If you're listening to us rather than watching, on all of our podcast outlets, Podbean, Stitcher, iHeart, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Take a second if you can, 5 stars and a quick comment. And we also have a drawing each month for a free 1-week membership to Coach Talk. So you have about 3 more weeks to do that. So do it before you forget. We have our new member that's in there from last week's free contest that's had 2 or 3 big days of winning and has now become a full-time member. So big shout out to them, and we'd love to have you join us.
Excellent. All right. Coach, take us through this Milwaukee side, the favorites at home here in Game 3. Do you want to get significant exposure to the Bucks?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, you got to fade Giannis, right? He stinks.
Yeah, definitely. That's the move. That is the move.
Insta fade for Giannis,
right?
For sure. No, I mean, let's face the facts. The guy's the best player on the floor, period. He's a freak of nature. He needs to stop shooting the dag blasted threes, though. Cut it out, man. He shot 5 more of them. He did make 1. And 11 for 18 at the line is bordering on acceptable at this point. If he can shoot 60+%, that's really going to help them. They won't be able to do the hacky Giannis. So I would say if he stays within himself in front of the home crowd, I mean, if you don't play him as your captain and just spend the bucks, he certainly has to be in your build. I mean, I don't see any way that you cash in either cash games or GPPs without Giannis in there. No kidding. So there's that's about like saying you have to breathe air to survive. So no shocker there, but it does in these showdown slates, simplify things. For me, it's like, okay, Giannis, you're my captain again. Now I really focus on building around, figuring out what I'm going to do. But man, a game at home where they're favored by 4, the pace, if you've noticed, here's the shocking part for me of this whole series, Andrew, and I'd love to get your opinion. We talked about it, and I talked a little bit about it in the pod I did preview. It was going to be a battle of wills of Milwaukee pushing the heck out of the ball, second fastest pace in the league, and Phoenix trying to make it more of a half-court set and really slowing it down because they were 27th in the league. Guess what? Phoenix is not slowing it down. They're saying, we're better than you. You've got an injured Giannis. We want to stretch him out. And they are pushing the ball harder and faster than they have all season long. And that's phenomenal risk and reward from Monty. I think it's just genius because generally you dance with what got you there. And I figured they'd slow it down, really, try to take the air out of the ball, work it. But I do think it's because their Giannis's injury and, the aspect of the fact that they want to push the Bucks and try to get into their bench. And it's really paid off. And so in looking at the Suns, it's created some different dynamics. It's really helped both Paul and Booker get more open looks, get more transitional looks, much tougher to defend in transition. Booker gets those step-in threes because the threes that Booker made in that game, if you remember, I mean, I remember one of them, Lopez was draped all over him. He had his hand like on top of his head, and he still made the 3. So, if they can get some cheapies on those transitions, hoops, I think it makes, these key Phoenix guys in play. Middleton, same thing. And I mean, Bucks, it's Middleton, the same thing. And, you're going to get a few from Holiday, although he's not hitting him. And then even Lopez, although they stuck him in the paint a lot more, he's going to get, he only got 2 threes up, which was shocking, but I think you'll see some more from him. But, for me, I think that the pace here for the Bucks is going to be the way they like it. I think that plays into, them being the favorite in this game because Phoenix has adjusted to them. And I think, Milwaukee, if they just shoot the ball a little bit better, are going to be right there. So, as far as the guy, let's just talk about the shot making here because, the difference in this series right now is been the field goal percentage. they shot a very respectable 42 for 93 for 45%. And you would think, okay, that's, we can win a game like that with the kind of defense we play. But they gave up almost 50% shooting from the Suns, as you said, 43 for 88. So I don't think it's this side of the ball that's the trouble right now. Is they just have to do a better job contesting. And, some of those shots Phoenix made aren't going to go in Milwaukee. So I'm still fine with, build with Giannis. I think Tucker's a good, cheaper play. Holiday has certainly played much, much better. And how about 11 shots for him in the first 9 minutes? Didn't that surprise you?
Yeah, matching what he'd done in game one early. He came out aggressive. That was his plan. And it really showed up on both ends.
Yes. And he missed a lot of bunnies, or he was in there and just missed a lot of them. But if he's obviously part of their plan is him to attack. So, I'm tempted, Andrew, and I'd love your feedback here, but I'm a huge Chris Middleton guy. I think he's a fantastic player. I mean, he's an Olympian this year. He's an year after year all-star. But, man, his shooting percentage, it's just he's not getting the ball to drop. And the fact that Holiday's been so aggressive, I'm almost leaning Holiday over Middleton. Or am I overreacting?
No, I don't think so. I mean, Holiday outscored him fantasy point wise in game two.
Yeah.
And we know that he has that bigger upside with his defense where he gets more stocks.
Yeah.
And, we know he can get more assists. And if he takes 5 more shots like him, like last time, he can easily outscore him again. And I think Drew Holiday's price dip is the biggest change here for game 3. He's only 12,000 on FanDuel. So of the big 6 that we listed earlier, he's the cheapest. So he's, really easy to get in the lineup after a strong outing in terms of fantasy points. Yes, he was 7 of 21, so he wasn't efficient, but he got it done, certainly paid off the price tag. And I agree. It's a question for me of, all right, we want Giannis in there. So then do we go with Holiday or Middleton on that side?
Right.
And, he's a lot cheaper. So you just got to play around with it. But Middleton, I mean, you got to figure he's going to shoot better at home, right? He's not going to go 5 for 16 and 1 for 6 on threes, is he?
I wouldn't think, but, we've mentioned it several times. Mikal Bridges is a hell of a defender.
Yep.
And he's long. He's just a perfect matchup to guard Middleton. Middleton usually has size on somebody or speed, but Bridges, talk about Spider-Man versus Spider-Man. I mean, they're built, same height and the whole 9 yards. So I don't know. I mean, Bridges locking them down. There's no question about it.
Yeah. Well, how about the bench? Because, I mean, like you said, I think Tucker he's a fair option at his price. He had a strong first half, and he basically disappeared in the second half. And Lopez, like you said, he only took a couple of threes. He did have 4 stocks, so he was solid, but he's priced. I mean, he's 11,000. Drew Holiday's 12. Yeah. So that's a pretty easy decision. But how about this bench here? Connaughton got big minutes again.
Yeah, as far as Lopez goes, he's still in play, but I just the salary is agitating here that they're not reacting back to it, because I do think he'll have a better game and he's going to get good minutes. But if you'd have told me Connaughton would push 34 minutes and get 9 threes up, I mean, if he's going to get big minutes off the bench like that at his price, I mean he's got to be one of the value guys in, but he'll be chalky this time around at his price. So he's really the only bench guy that I'd consider. I'm so disappointed that Bobby Portis played 4 minutes and 39 seconds. That just bewilders me with as well as he plays. But we've said that all along. The guy just, for some reason, Coach Bud, unless he's forced to, which he basically was with Giannis hurt, he just doesn't play the guy that much. And I'm not going to risk it. No way I'm touching him or Forbes or Teague. So really all it comes down to for me is, let's get probably 2 pay-up guys for Milwaukee and a value guy, whether it be Tucker or Connaughton. I think that's just on sheer minutes where a bunch of those guys are playing 40 or 40 plus. If I had to go today, I'd lean Giannis, Holiday, and Connaughton, and then I think that's a good pairing. But that's that. I haven't decided for sure because in the past when we've let the gas off on Middleton, he has one of those 20 straight point stretches and stuff like that. But I don't know if he can do that against Bridges.
It's a real tough matchup, but I agree. This is the same approach I want to take here with Milwaukee. Giannis, and then either Holiday or Middleton, and then Connaughton. That's my favorite build right now based on the pricing and everything else. And Portis, yeah, he's not playable for me with those minutes. I thought he would play more.
Oh, for
But
sure.
his price is also tough, 10,500. There's just no way you can play him if
Why
he's
aren't
going to
they
play 5 minutes.
adjusting the prices as this series is going on? It really
Yeah.
is frustrating. I mean, if you have an indication, they'll be chanting Bobby, it's a Milwaukee game. Maybe he gets 15 minutes and we know he can smash value in that time, but they didn't adjust his price. So you can't even take a flyer on it, really.
Yeah, it's almost like they've got him at 10-5 on FanDuel in case Lopez gets hurt or in
Right.
case they announce for some reason that Portis is going to start and they want to have that position in that price range. But doesn't look like they're going to make any changes. If they were going to change the starting lineup, it would have been before game 2 with the way that Lopez looked against that pick and roll. But for him to start again and get 28 minutes and Portis 5, I think it's pretty clear the way Milwaukee views that, and Portis is going to stay in that minimal role.
I wish they'd have put him down at like 8.5 where he should be. And then if you want to roll the dice on him, you could. But, it's suicide mission at the salary he's at this point. So, I mean, it's looking, Andrew, as it's going to be a very, very chalky showdown slate with most people utilizing the same guys. And that's what happened. It happens in every finals. As the series wears on, the bench shortens, the minutes increase for the starters. And, it's now that we've got a little bit thinner bench on the Phoenix side on top of it, I think you're going to see dupes all over the place on Sunday. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think so, especially on FanDuel. But on DraftKings, I think it's really challenging and tight as you try to determine who your captain is going to be. Because, yeah, you can go with Giannis and lock in the big points, but he's so expensive that you get to the bottom of that lineup and your last 2 guys in, you're kind of just cringing.
Right.
And so then you got to play around with, well, one of these other studs here, if I go with somebody like Holiday or Middleton, then you like the end of your lineup a little bit better. Or if you go down to somebody like Bridges, he was in the ultimate winning lineup on DraftKings last game.
Right.
Then you can, if you can project one of those mid-tier guys to have a ceiling game again,
right.
That could be the winning combination. I think the way that the prices have sort of settled on DraftKings makes it a lot tougher. And I think you'll get a nice variety of ownership at the MVP spot or the captain spot over there.
I'm with you. And the reason I'm not the biggest showdown slate fan is because it is frustrating in the fact that, like my top 4 guys just kicked ass. But then my 5th guy in was Bobby Portis, who did, you almost take a blank, or if you put in, somebody else that like a Torrey Craig, which had been in one of my lineups, and granted he got hurt, but that's a blank and you're dead. I mean, it's so compact. These contests are so compact with so many similar lineups. You can't take a mistake in that last spot. And that's why, if you do go with a Teague or a Portis or a Forbes or a, Nader or Payne, even at this point, you risk being out of the money. So that's the tough part, is determining, how you build it where one terrible performance, doesn't sink the ship.
Yeah, exactly. Can you pick a captain so that your last couple guys in are guys like Cam Johnson, Tucker, Connaughton, and not having to get one of those other guys, the undesirables, right, Coach?
Yeah, and they've been undesirables, and it's hard to figure how these guys. I don't think there's a human being on earth with the way Cam Johnson played that last game that would have thought he would have gotten sub 19, 18 minutes. That just strange. And, the same thing with Portis, 4 minutes and 38 seconds. Come on. It just doesn't make sense. But, the coaches are doing what they need to do to win. I do love the strategies. Like I said, I think he'll stick with what he did with, Coach Bud. And we just have to, it comes down to, you have to sacrifice a little to squeeze in all the guys that are going to get mid-30s minutes like Tucker, and just hope that they perform well. Or, you roll the dice, and you certainly can in GPPs, but in cash, you just have to pick the right guy that happens to have a great game off the bench. Like maybe Campaign gets in there longer, who knows? But it really comes down to that. I mean, we're all going to be playing pretty much the similar guys. It's just, how do you complete that roster that is going to make a difference?
Yeah, we're going to try to nail those final spots. And tip-off can't come soon enough. I can't wait for Game 3, Coach. It is, again, 8 o'clock Eastern Sunday night. So we'll have our lineups ready at 7:30, and we'd love to have you. So dfscoachtalk.com if you want to join the family. So
absolutely.
We'll wrap it up there. Thank you all for tuning in. On behalf of the coach and the rest of the DFS Coach Talk team, I'm Andrew Hansen, and we'll see you for the Game 4 preview as we look to crush it in DFS.